Hey everybody, it's Josh at Walnut Ridge. This week I want to show something that's really something pretty simple, but we run into this a lot. We have to service this a lot and answer a lot of questions about this, but most of the units nowadays are having power jacks installed at the factory. This particular power jack on this one is a factory power jack, and when you run these things, you know, super convenient for hooking up and unhooking, leveling and all that stuff. The problem we run into though is this motor has to be able to torque pretty high because it's lifting the weight of the trailer on here, and especially when you're hooking up with your weight distribution, you're partially lifting the weight of the truck as well because you have the ball locked down on it, so you can make it easier to put your arms on or your weight distribution bars on. So what we run into is when you get it hooked up and you run this jack all the way up to travel, on these they put this white sticker on here, and I don't know if you can even read the label anymore, barely, but it's telling you not to retract this jack past that line, because what happens once it gets all the way up and the bottom part of it here, it can't move anymore, and you're holding the button down, you'll blow the fuse. That's designed to protect this motor and to protect that gear in there that the screw shaft is connected to, along with the shear pin that's what's keeping that all together and actually forcing that to turn. So it blows this fuse, you have to change the fuse. Super inconvenient if you don't have spare fuses. If you're out, if it's raining or something, then it's going to be even more bothersome to you to try and get hooked up, and you're getting soaked in the rain. So all around, just not a good time while you're camping. So pretty easy fix for this. For one, always make sure that you're not going past that line. It's actually not even a bad idea to paint or draw with a Sharpie, or even just get another piece of tape or something that you can put on there, and don't even go to this line. You know, set it up a little higher so that you don't risk running it. When you take this all the way up, and even if you're up here instead of all the way down, that jack is only sticking past it just a little bit down here. You're not going to drag that on the ground. Chances are your weight distribution shank is lower than what that jack is. So if you're going to drag anything, it's going to drag that. But another thing I was going to talk about on this, what we run into is, because these motors, they don't ratchet like the old slide out motors. When you would get it all the way in, have a bell stop, it's going to stop that. The motor's going to ratchet, you know you're there. It doesn't really blow any fuses or damage the motor. It's kind of built to be able to do that. That's its protection, so it doesn't damage that motor. Now if you did it repeatedly for long periods of time over and over, you probably are going to eventually damage it, but this isn't designed to do that. Once it gets all the way up and stops, if it doesn't have anywhere else to go, it's going to keep trying to turn, and if the fuse doesn't blow fast enough, the jack will then get seized up inside there when it's retracted all the way. So then the next time you go to run it down, it doesn't do anything. You maybe hear the motor trying to engage, but the jack doesn't move. And then the tendency of most people is to hit the button the other way, thinking, you know, they hit it the wrong way, and now you've just seized it even tighter, possibly blown the fuse at that time. But what happens is, then you got to take this top cap off of here. You got to use the manual crank. You got to break that loose a little bit, and then you can use the button to run the jack motor. And that's only if it didn't damage any of those components inside at that point from running it so tight. So we see it all the time. It's really common. It's not usually an actual problem. It's usually just using it incorrectly and running this too high up there and seizing it in. I had another example sitting beside us over here that I wanted to show you, but that sticker is actually gone on it, so you can't even see. And we'll just turn around and walk right here. It's still there on this part of it. It's gone on the back side. Eventually, when the rest of this wears off, then you're not even going to see that clean line on it either. And so now you have no reference as to when to stop when you're running that. And then it's just going to be a repeated process every time you're going to blow fuses. You're going to think there's something wrong with the jack. It's going to get tested. They're going to tell you it's fine, it doesn't need replaced. Or if it's under warranty, it does get replaced, it's going to get sent back. The factory's going to say there's nothing wrong with this, and then they're going to deny that claim. So easy fix, add an extra line on there, paint it on, put another sticker, whatever it is. Just be conscious that when you're running that, you don't need to run it all the way up until it stops. You need to run it till it's up high enough that it's not going to cause a problem while you're towing the trailer down the road. So hopefully that'll help make it a little easier on your next trip, camping and unhooking and hooking up to set up for your fun family weekend. Thanks.